Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next lesson in the upper intermediate course. And we're going to look at some pretty important things, but honestly, I think the grammar is the most difficult. You can tell me if you agree. We're going to look at the order of adjectives, which I find very difficult as a native speaker, as well as using adjectives as nouns. And yes, you can do that. We're going to show you how. So here is the first section we're going to do. We've omitted the reading section because we want to keep you focused on speaking, grammar that contributes to better speaking, vocabulary, pronunciation, which also contributes to better speaking, and of course, speaking. And I'm going to ask you all to once again produce an audio file, short recording, just 1 or 2 minutes. That's all you need. You've got 1 or 2 minutes each day. Every 2 days, you can send one recording, just a short answer, and I will tell you what that is in a bit later. Now, this is a warm-up to let you know what you're up against or in for, I suppose. So if you look here at the 3 sentences, 1 or 2 of them are correct, and 1 or 2 isn't or aren't. So if you look here, first, this deals with the adjectives as nouns. Number 1, we have 3 options. Let's look at them. In general, it's difficult for the old and the young to be good friends. Here, the old and young are adjectives. There is no noun. So the question is, can we say that without a noun? Well, let's find out. In B, we have the noun attached. In general, it's difficult for the old people and the young people. So now we have the noun, people, to be good friends. And then the third variant is slightly different, but similar to B. In general, it's difficult for old people and young people, so we don't have the, for old people and young people to be good friends. What do you think? Pause the recording if you need to think about this. The answer is B is incorrect. You can say A or C, but you can't say B. Old people, young people, or the old and the young. The youth of today, although youth is a noun. Now let's look at number 2. This is also difficult because we're dealing with the order of adjectives, and sometimes they all sound the same. I don't think it's the case here, though. Cian is a lively, dark-haired Welsh woman. Cian is a Welsh, lively, dark-haired woman, or Cian is a dark-haired Welsh, lively woman. To my ear, only one sounds natural. What about to your ear? Pause it, think about it if you need to. I'm going to give you the answer now. The answer is A is correct. The other 2 are not. A sounds more natural than the others, to be honest. All right. Now we're going to jump down to Grammar Bank, and we're going to practice exactly these ideas using adjectives as nouns. So let's go ahead and read these. In most African countries, the young still look up to the old. Here we have the poor are getting poorer and the rich are getting richer. The government is a noun, actually, and the unemployed. Unemployed, well, the government can be a noun or an adjective. Unemployed can be an adjective. So here's the rule. We can talk about some groups like of people, the young, the poor, the rich, the wealthy. So specific groups in society, we can just use the adjective. We don't need to say the rich people. No, the rich, the poor, the middle class, although middle class is now a compound noun, but the infirm, the ill, the sick, these sorts of things. All right, nationalities as well. The English, we don't have to say the English people. You can, but the English, the Dutch, the Chinese, and a lot of others, including the we have here the answer to this. We have others, the French, Spanish, British, Japanese, etc. Most other nationality words are nouns and used in the plural, like Poles, Brazilians, Turks. These are nouns. But Spanish, British, French, these are adjectives. And you know that because you can say the French book, the French cafe. You can't say the Pole's coffee shop. I mean, you can, but it's very odd because it's two nouns. All right. Practice these, and you're going to get some practice below. Now, if you talk about one person, you do use the person. So if you say the Englishman walking across the street there, we use English for a group of people, but not for one individual person. So that, do you see the Chinese man over there? So if you're talking about one individual, you do use the noun. If you're talking about the group, you don't need to. The adjective is sufficient. The adjective is sufficient. This is a nice word, S-U-F-F-I-C-I-E-N-T. And if that's too fast, you need to learn your letters and how to pronounce them. So repeat it, rewind that video and play it again. Now, the order of adjectives I find a little bit troubling if there are a lot of them. Honestly, I do. And I can only imagine how you must feel. I'm sorry. Here we go. Now, they basically divide it between opinion and description. This is all description. This first one's opinion. So you put your opinion first, then the description, the facts afterwards. So if it's considered an opinion, that goes first. Let's take a look. We've got a lovely old cottage. Lovely is an opinion. Old is age. She has long, fair hair. So size and then color, fair. I bought a beautiful, that might be opinion, you see here. Italian, where's that at? Origin, leather material, belt. So you're going to practice these with some examples and exercises below. If you're not exactly sure, you can go all the way down to the bottom and you will see the answers. They're right here. So you can go ahead and practice those. That's your first two assignments. We're going to go back up and move here to this here is a discussion. And I think we should utilize this. Now, there are a lot of you in this class, and I want to encourage you to find a speaking partner. Every week, you should be talking 1 hour with someone. So that means 1 hour with a speaking partner, 1 hour us in the live. You're going to do some audio recordings, which in fact, one of these, I'd like you to send me a 1 or 2 minute audio recording of one of these questions, one of your opinions on one of these ideas, and I'll listen to it and critique it. And if you're in the speaking club, then of course you have 2 or 3 more extra opportunities to speak English. All right, which means nearly every day if you're in the speaking club, but 3 or 4 times a week if you're not. So that is still plenty of opportunities to improve. All right, we're going to move down to vocabulary. It's so important, clothing, because we wear it every day. And if you're interested, and I know we've had discussions with this in the group, if you're interested in what you wear and the colors you're wearing, then of course fashion is on your mind. Before you leave, you say, oh, does this match? This is a great phrase. Let's go ahead and write this down. Does this match? Let's go ahead and write it right here. Does this outfit match? In other words, is the top and the bottom, are they coordinated? Are they color coordinated? Are they color coordinated? Well, mine are. I think I've got white, which goes well with nearly everything, or everything. I think everything. White and black are these sort of very important colors that can match with everything. And then I have blue jeans on the bottom. So yeah, they match. They are coordinated. All right. Do you coordinate your clothes in the morning, or you just put on whatever? I imagine women pay more attention to this than men, and I didn't pay much attention until I lived in Italy. And when I moved to Italy, I understand everyone pays attention to style. And I think in Europe, in general, people pay attention to style. much more than they do in the US. I think it's very interesting. So I became more fashion conscious. Let's write that down. Fashion conscious. If you're more conscious about something, you're aware of it. So if you're more health conscious, you're worried about your health. You think about, is this going to affect my health positively or negatively? If you're fashion conscious, you're saying, well, does this top match the bottom? All right. Very good. Let's go ahead and look at clothes and fashion. By the way, clothes, I'm going to encourage you just to say the same word as close the door, clothes and fashion. It's almost the same. No native speaker can hear the difference. So just say close the door. Do you like my clothes? No difference. Now, this is interesting here. You're going to look at the photo and read the article. This is a short reading, but it's disguised as vocabulary. And what's interesting is you have different generations wearing the same style. What do you think about that? I'm actually quite curious, and you could talk about that in the group or with a speaking partner. When mom and daughter have the same style, do you smile and say, that's cool? Or do you think, oh, mom's trying too hard? She should just dress her age. What do you think about that? Should older people dress their age and not try to be trendy? And what is that bar of old? Out over 40, under 35? Where is that dividing line where you shouldn't care anymore and you just dress as all the other people in your generation dress? I'm curious to get your opinion on that. You're going to read this very interesting article. And here we go, things that really suit you. Something that suits you goes well with your eyes or your hair, your skin color. And sharing, I remember I used to borrow my brother's clothes. He didn't like it. So he said, don't touch my clothes. Did you share if you have a brother or sister? Well, if you're brothers or sisters, did you share clothes with them if you're similar age or size? We didn't. We had our own clothes. I didn't mind sharing. My brother had a big problem with it. So we didn't share. You've got some interesting vocabulary at the bottom here, and then we're going to move to the vocabulary section, which is right below, and which the audio files are going to assist you in a big way. 217, 218, and I think 219 and 220 right here. So we have a lot of listening to do and matching. So the vocabulary here is really important. If you're ever shopping overseas, or if you're just explaining to someone from a different culture what you like to wear or what people wear in your country, you need to know some of these terms. So, yeah, here we go. Hooded is a style, but we also say a hoodie. A hoodie is something you put over your head. He's wearing a hoodie. Young people like to wear hoodies, sort of hide their identity, cover their face, makes them cool. That's what they supposedly. All right. We've got lots of different patterns here. Styles here and fit here. Loose or tight. I know in the US it's a very loose fitting. Also rappers and some hip hop stars, they used to wear a lot of loose clothes. But in Europe in general, the style is tight, and in Italy it's even tighter. So when I brought my Italian style back to the US, my mother and father said, why are those jeans so tight? Because in the US, tight jeans aren't so common in smaller cities, at least not on men. They are on women. But in Europe, we say close fitting, or firm fitting clothes are the norm. It's fine. Now, if you notice, I'm not going to spell out a lot of words. I want you to listen and try to understand what I'm saying. And if you'll also notice, I don't put subtitles in the upper intermediate course. I do for the intermediate and pre-intermediate, but no subtitles here because I want you to listen carefully and try to work out the meaning. Now, if you don't understand every word I say, it's not critical. The good news is, with all the audio files, you can understand every word because you've got the transcripts right there. So that is not going to be a problem. All right, you've got a lot of vocabulary here. I'm really curious to hear your favorite styles, your favorite patterns, and your favorite colors when we meet next. Now, finally, before actually, we've got some very important vocabulary that, again, the listening files or the audio files are going to help you with right here. 21 and 22 got a lot of listening to go through, but what is important is the vowel sounds. We've got the short vowel sound, hi, I. We've got the long one. I'm sorry. The short might be love, and then the long one might be oh, boat. And then the diphthong, or when you have two vowels together and they sort of influence each other and change the sound. Now, the reason this is an important exercise is because vowels are often clues to native speakers that you don't speak so well. You want to be sure and pronounce vowels correctly, because it's the key to understanding what you're saying. Consonants, I think, are less difficult if they're pronounced, but vowels are not. Vowels can be very difficult. Obviously, in English, there are silent letters that can be tricky, but vowels, I think, determine whether we understand you or not. So take this section very seriously, practice these, and then read the instructions, listen, and learn. And finally, listening, more listening and speaking. We've got here different types of clothes, and you're going to listen, and we've got a lot here. If you go down to the next page, look at all of this. We've got 223 and lots to do here. Listen again and mark your opinions, true or false. Lisa thinks. So it's great listening comprehension. As I mentioned before, if you don't understand what Lisa thinks or Adrian thinks, it's hard to have a conversation with them because you don't actually know what they said. And then you're going to work in pairs later on, after you do the final exercise. So here are managing discussions, which I tend to do during the live. So you might hear me say, let's start with Lisa. Let's go back to sorry. Now, if you're talking with a speaking partner, sorry, but I don't agree. This is very polite disagreement. True, but I'm not sure about that. This is a very British phrase. I'm not sure about that. That means you disagree, but you're very soft in your disagreement. I agree up to a point. So I half agree with you, or I mainly agree, but not completely. It's a good idea to memorize these when you're speaking with someone. And in fact, you can actually go with your speaking partner and take turns going back and forth, using one of these in a real sentence based on your clothing preferences. I agree with you up to a point, but I think hoodies can be worn by the general population, not just teens and not just rappers. By the way, do you own a hoodie? And do you wear a hoodie? It's over the hood. All right, I don't. I'm not cool enough, but I hope to get there soon. Well, that's it. That's your homework. You've got a lot to do. Good luck, work hard, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.